possibly out of Cleveland. You want to be a boss? That's how you be a boss. I did. I made a mistake. Hey, good morning this morning. Are you kidding me? Hey, it is a wonderful morning, and we got a lot to get to. Biden sniffing. I'm tired of Brady and Rodgers. Matt Ryan, I'm not tired of. Matt Ryan is getting it done, ladies and gentlemen. The journey of the goalposts in Rocky Top, Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee, where our guy Dylan told me off air, hey, look, biggest regret of my life is not going. Might have been the best college football game played maybe since Texas UCLA way back in the Rose Bowl for the national championship. And what a great sports weekend we had. And I got to tell you, we got a deciding game tonight, Guardians and Cleveland. But first, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to look at me. Just look at me. There is a rule in gambling. Never cash out a parlay. And I don't buy that rule. See, I like money. Money, 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 money. I do. I like money. I like when money falls my way. I like when I'm smarter than the man. I like when I get over on the man. That's right. I got over on the man this weekend, and I'll tell you why. Let's put it up there off of our DraftKings account. I had a 5-team parlay going over 2 days. Clemson. Well, let's start the other side. Illinois, Michigan, Clemson. There you see the Colts, who, by the way, long touchdown pass, Alec Pierce, that got me the winner. And then there it was, ladies and gentlemen, the Chiefs. The Chiefs. So if the Chiefs win, I win $2,500 on a $100 bet. DraftKings, being smart, tempted me. Yeah, they did. They tempted me. $1,200 or whatever it says there, $1,254 or whatever it says there. Now, how many of you would have cashed that out? I was not feeling good. I had to sweat out. I didn't have to sweat out Illinois. I didn't have to sweat out Michigan. Really didn't have to sweat out Clemson. Had to sweat out the Colts big time. Big time. They were done, but they went deep. Boom, I wanted to spend the afternoon sweating out Kansas City, but I saw $1,200, and I said to myself, all right, I got to go ahead and I got to give that $1,200. I do. I got to get that $1,200 in line, and we got to get going here. How many of you would do that? Not a lot of people do that, but this guy did. And I'm $1,200. I'm coming to Nashville this weekend. Oh, man. Hotels are expensive, by the way. And that just paid for it. Assuming I don't lose it this weekend. But we also hit an $1,800 parlay that I could show you with the receipts as well. Boom, baby. Cash it out. $1,200 is a lot of money to a guy like me. Maybe not you. They wanted to cash me out at $500. And I thought, you know what? I like the Colts. Colts got it done. My toes. Well, as we say in the industry, my toes are a-tapping. All right, couple of things. Got to tell you, I've just had enough. I don't know how you all feel. I don't know how you all feel about Brady and about Aaron Rodgers. But I got to tell you, I've kind of had enough. I just have. Look, Brady misses the walkthrough. Brady does not show. He flies to a wedding of his former owner, Robert Kraft. Now, let me throw something at you. At that wedding, you know who was not there? Bill Belichick. So Brady on Saturday misses a walkthrough, misses a team meetings, and then he has the audacity to yell and scream at his lineman, hey, lineman, time to stand up to this guy. Look, Brady, maybe we could do our job better if you were at all the walkthroughs. Maybe if you didn't take 11 days off in the middle of training camp. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we could do our job better. I'm not going to sit there and listen to somebody yell at me when they aren't putting in the work that I am. Brady is clearly 1 foot in and 1 foot out. Will it straighten out? I don't know. But remember, I told you at the beginning of the year, and I got made fun of again, where I told you the Buccaneers weren't going to make the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying they're not, but I got to tell you, Marcus Mariota, we'll get into him in a little bit. That dude is balling in Atlanta. And oh, by the way, I don't know if you've seen, but they're in the same division. But Tom Brady looks old to me. His face looks old. His actions look old. Movement in the pocket looks old. Still can slang it. And then he looks out of touch to me. You're going to say to me, well, he's the GOAT, man. He's the GOAT and he's earned everything. No, he hasn't. You earn everything, yes, except for putting yourself above the team when you decide to come back and play for the team. If you're not going to play, fine. If you are going to play, no matter if you're the GOAT, don't care, a rookie, you never, ever, ever in a sport like football, basketball, any team sport, have the right to put yourself above your team. And that's exactly what Tom Brady is doing. And that's exactly why I told you at the beginning of the season when I was giving you predictions that I found it hard for Brady's team to make the playoffs. Look, I always go back to this. You've heard this a million times. The great Butler coach, Brad Stevens, when I asked him about two straight NCAA championship game appearance, he said, you know, Dan, one of the biggest things was that everybody in that building is moving in the same direction. Janitors, assistants, baseball coaches that are in there, same offices, everybody, same direction. Well, you think Tampa Bay's moving in the same direction? Heck, Todd Bowles told them their team is living in a fantasy world if they think they're Super Bowl champs. And he's not wrong. He's not. So Tom Brady is looking old to me, and not only that, but he's looking entitled. And no, Tom Brady's always been a great teammate. We all know Tom Brady has given money back to the team. Tom Brady has not been a pig financially. He's always helped others on his team. He's always put a roster first. But when he decides to go to a wedding, Belichick wasn't there. Look, I say this all the time, and you guys can disagree with me, and women usually get mad at me, and men usually get mad at me, and everybody usually gets mad at me when I say this, but when I was coaching, I was going to have children, if I was blessed to have children, either in May or August. Why? Well, because June is camps, and we needed the money. July was then recruiting basically from the 4th of July to July 31st. I had to get out on the road and recruit. August, you get a breather. September, school starts until the next May. April, you've got workouts. April, you've got recruiting. So it's either going to be May or it was going to be August. May 10th is when my son was born. Had a little slippage. June 2nd is when my daughter was born. And if that makes me a bad guy, but that's being all in. Doesn't mean we won anything. It just meant that I was all in. And Tom Brady is not all in. And I'm tired of Aaron Rodgers too. Look, Aaron Rodgers, I'll give you the numbers if you'd like. I mean, you guys like the numbers. 26-41, 256 yards against the Jets. 25 of 39, 220 yards against the Giants. That's great. That's what he's done. They're 3-3. Great. Fantastic. You're wonderful. Go fight, win. Yay, rah. But the fact of the matter is, and let's just be honest right here, Aaron Rodgers is wearing you out. Every postgame, he acts like he is entitled. He acts like he is above it all. He gave a philosophical discussion yesterday about, well, do we have the right players? And if we don't have the right players, well, then that's certainly another story. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, if that's the case, then fine. And then he started talking about how we got to simplify things. Well, we must simplify things. Really? So he's now the coach. And this guy LaFleur, look, I get it when you got a young Aaron Rodgers and you got a bunch of dudes that can really go. I get it. I do. I think we all get it. I think we all get it, man. You're ready to go? Let's go. Your team's good. Now your team's not good. Well, what are you supposed to do about it? Complain? See, one thing I always admired about Peyton Manning, yeah, he got after his offensive line. Jeff Saturday barked back at him, which he should. But Manning never really made excuses. Manning was never really the guy that seemed above everything. Brady never has seemed it either. He seemed like a great teammate. Rodgers started that a couple years ago. So Rodgers in his postgame is telling all of us what we're supposed to do. That's garbage. He's telling the coaches, and oh, by the way, if Matt LaFleur is going to become a great coach, it's a high time that he becomes a great coach. So there you go. I mean, I'm not saying I'm done. I'm just saying, hey, look. Hey, by the way, Matt Ryan threw his arm out, man. Hey, you got to pitch in for Matt Ryan. 42 of 59, 389 yards. Colts didn't have two of their running backs. Nyheim Hines, out. Jonathan Taylor, out. So here in Indy, we're all watching and we're like, man, the bet of the year is that Matt Ryan is going to complete 21 passes. Completed 22 in the first half. What a performance by Matt Ryan. Look, I get it. Jalen Hurts is the MVP. If you want to, I don't know, if you want to make Josh Allen the MVP, fine. But pay attention to what Matt Ryan is doing there. Matt Ryan, if you really go to who's valuable, that guy's pretty daggone valuable. He is. He's pretty valuable. And I'm happy for the guy. We've all been on him. That Thursday night performance was not very good. But let's be honest. Nobody has been very good on Thursday nights. You kind of, I don't know, you kind of sort of get a pass. All right. Let's get real. The New York Giants are 5-1. Brian Dable, and I'm going to ask Coach Vermeil about this coming up here in a minute. Dick Vermeil is going to join us as we're going to discuss the impact of coaching. Brian Dable, 5-1 with the New York Giants. You know, one of the things that I thought was interesting as we went into the season, I'm getting ready to ask Coach Vermeil this. You know, Saquon Barkley, who is their highest draft choice, he and Daniel Jones, right? They're the guys, the faces of the team. Basically, even though he was an unbelievable conditioned athlete, I followed this kid because I really like him. And, man, did he work hard this offseason. Wow. So you got your best player working hard. You got a new coach that instills energy and a great scheme. And next thing you know, a quarterback that doesn't have to do a whole heck of a lot, but certainly is skilled. And now you're 5-1. Yeah, there's a couple breaks. Lamar Jackson put the ball on the ground. Lamar Jackson threw the ball to the wrong team. Okay, but you know what? Toughness makes breaks. It does. 4-2 is what the Jets are. Let me tell you something. Think about 4-2 with the Jets. Zach Wilson did play the first game. How about Joe Flacco getting a little bit of credit? How about Joe Flacco coming out there, starting the season where you kept them afloat, and now Zach Wilson and Robert Saleh's defense has been very tough. Hey, Dylan and Ryan, whenever Coach is ready to go, we'll go right to him. I'm not leaving the Hall of Famer waiting, baby. That's not what we do. Are you kidding me? But anyway, so Robert Saleh's got him believing. Brian Dable's got him believing. They both have quarterbacks that aren't asked to throw it 58 times, but I'm guessing if they would, they'd probably be pretty good at it. Coaching matters in the NFL. It does. Coaching matters, life matters, scheme matters, everything matters. You know, it's like I said, I coached for 1,000,000 years. And I remember when Coach Vermeil came to talk to us at Indiana University's men's basketball program. Hey, is Coach ready? Hey, Coach Vermeil, how are you?
I'm doing all right, thank you. Mm-hmm.
Coach, you came, I don't even know if you remember this. You came to Indiana University's basketball practice. Coach Knight had you, and I was one of his assistants. And you said something that has stuck with me my entire life. In fact, we put it on the board at Indiana. Then when I became a head coach, I put it on the board, and it was don't complicate winning.
Yeah, I act like I knew what I was talking about, but I'm not sure I do anymore.
Coach, when you said that, I started equating that to life. Like, don't complicate your life. You know what I'm saying? Don't do something incredibly stupid that hurts what you're trying to get done.
Well, you know, I also said in that meeting to Bobby that winning wasn't complicated, people complicated, okay? And a few years later, I'm getting a Paul Brown Coach of the Year award in Ohio somewhere, and Bobby's there, okay? And he gets up, God bless him, and he jumps my butt for saying that because he said he used that slogan, but it didn't always work. He said, I later had the opportunity to spend 3 days trout fishing with him in Montana, which was really a great experience.
Oh, I bet. I mean, I played a lot of golf, fished with him. I was with him 16 years. Sometimes, Coach, it was a great experience. Sometimes it wasn't so great. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
He would fish in Montana, the same place I elk hunt, in the Climbing Arrow Ranch. So I would bump into him there if we both were timed in that area at the same time. So I know he had the home in Bozeman as well. So yeah, great guy. I wonder how he's doing. I haven't heard about him lately.
He's struggling, Coach. He's
Is he?
He's really struggling. Yeah,
Oh,
he's.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I, yeah, I'm not a doctor. I don't diagnose, but he's got dementia. He can't remember. He's really struggling. He
Oh,
is.
I'm
And
sorry to hear that.
a lot of
I'm
us.
very,
Yeah.
very sorry to hear that. I really enjoyed it. In fact, I drove all the way across the state of Montana with him in his truck. Okay. You make you nervous. He takes both hands off the steering wheel. Okay. And he looks at you and talks, and he holds the steering wheel with what pressure from one of his legs lifting to keeping the steering wheel straight. It made me nervous the entire trip, but he wasn't nervous at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, and he'd look at you like, "Why are you nervous? I got this. Leave me
Yeah, no
alone." And
question.
I was with him when he
Yeah.
was reading the paper driving. It's crazy.
Yeah, I believe it.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Coach, where did you coach long time? I mean, I'm going back to high school. You were a high school coach. You came through all of this. You leave coaching. You're a great broadcaster. You go back. Where did the greatest show on turf come from? How did this whole thing evolve?
Well, it started when we took over the Rams. We went back to the old-fashioned type of training camp, double days, full pads, never take them off, those kinds of things, and really built a fundamental base, both technically within a scheme and fundamentally, but really bringing Mike Martz in our third season there. He was putting frosting on the cake, believe me. He took what we were doing, built on it dramatically. We added Marshall Faulk, Torrey Holt, two Hall of Fame players. We added John Masco to the offensive line with Jim Hannafin, Dana LeDuc in the weight room, those kinds of things. And then Mike Martz putting it all together. Those kinds of things created that greatest show on turf, believe me. But the foundation was formed for 2 years, over a 2-year period in 1997 and 98. The fundamental work ethic of the team, the fundamentals of playing the game, each position. And and Mike took it for a home run from there.
Coach, when you look now at the NFL, does any team resemble that offensively?
Well, they all do so much. Dan, every offensive scheme is far more sophisticated than when I was coaching the NFL, especially the early stages like the Eagles and that. But there are more teams doing what the Rams and Mike Martz initiated, spread all over the field, the running backs involved, the crossing patterns, what everyone calls the zero route systems, and more willing to go that way and that approach. And the rules have kept changing and enhancing the opportunity to throw the ball, especially over the middle. A wide receiver used to get decapitated coming over the middle. At any time, tight ends as well. The advocating of the tight end, because when you throw a ball to tight end, normally he's closer to the quarterback than a wide receiver is, or a slot receiver. And people have built these guys into the scheme.
Okay, I think we lost Coach. Man, this is interesting. This is so interesting to me. Hopefully we can get him back, because when you look at the NFL today, a lot of it comes from what Coach Martz did. And I want to get into him with the fit and the importance of coaching, because let's be honest, all of a sudden we're seeing Robert Saleh doing a great job with the Jets. We're seeing Brian Daboll doing a fantastic job with what's going on with the Giants. But, hey, look, we'll continue with those two guys. I'm so happy. I like Zach Wilson. I think we all like Zach Wilson, right? Zach Wilson, hey, man, he's the MILF guy, right? Blah, 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 blah. Well, you know what he is? He's become a guy that can lead a team to wins. Now, I'm not saying both of these teams are great. I'm not saying that both of these teams aren't getting a little luck. They are. And think about yesterday. When, snap goes over Lamar Jackson's head and he ends up throwing it.
Signal problems. I'm losing you back and
Coach.
forth here on the Zoom. Back now? Yeah.
Yeah. Hey,
Apologize. I've been having problems within our system here for a few days. Yes.
You were talking about throwing it to the tight end. What I wanted to ask you next, a lot of people discount coaching. Like, coaching matters. Things matter in the NFL or the NBA or college.
Yeah. Well, great personnel can overcome average coaching, but when you put top caliber coaches like an Andy Reid, John Harbaugh, these kinds of guys and these young gurus that are coaching the league now, it starts with their leadership ability. It starts with the amount of control they have in the football side of an NFL operation now. But no question, coaching matters. Hey, look at what they've done to the New York Giants. All of a sudden they're going because a coach comes in and adds a structure, and they also bring a very sophisticated but simple system to teach and coach. And all of a sudden the quarterbacks are playing like they haven't played before. The offensive line blocking like they haven't blocked before. The defense is playing. There's coordination between everybody within the schemes, and they play better. Coaching does matter. No question about it.
Yeah, it drives me nuts when people say, well, just get a bunch of good. Of course. Well, let's talk about that. You mentioned bringing Marshall Faulk. You mentioned different guys. Getting players is wonderful, but the players have to fit, do they not?
Oh, yeah. And yeah, they have to come in with a structured program. When I was in broadcasting, I was in a different locker room, NFL as well as college, for 14 years, all through seasons. And I kept hearing how important discipline was in the program and how players really respected it and recognized that they really need it and also knew when they didn't have it. So, I think that a true leader, a true complete football coach, basketball coach, builds that kind of structure into his program beyond the X's and O's. Okay. If they may hear you, but sometimes they don't listen. Okay. They hear the noise, but they don't really listen. And I think, Bobby Knight established that in basketball. He had his own style, but they were disciplined, structured teams. And many times players resented it at the time, but they respect it when it's all said and done. And football teams are the same, even more so because you have more guys on the field at the same time. They've got to fit. And it starts with structure, basic fundamentals of discipline. And like Bill Parcells says, do your job. Just do your job. And the big thing is to make sure you as coaches give them good jobs to do.
That's important, right? I mean, look, do your job is great, but if it's the wrong job or it's a job a guy can't do, that's where coaching comes in.
No question.
Figure it out.
Yeah, no question. Yeah. Don't ask a guy to do something he can't do, no matter how well he's coached. And then when you find a gifted player, make sure you give him everything he can do. It bothers me when I watch games on Sunday and they're paying some wide receiver millions of dollars a season to play and they throw him the ball twice. The more I got involved in the game, the more I realized what we had to do as coaches is put the ball in the hands of the guys that make a difference more often during the ball game than other players. And you always have a few of those kind of guys, but it's important, extremely important. I've always said players win games, not coaches, but it's the coach's responsibility to provide them the opportunity to win the game for you.
Coach, you've had great wins. You've had disheartening losses. I'm going to go back to Coach Knight. Coach Knight and I used to talk about this. Why do we, me and him, maybe not you, and I'm going to ask you, remember the losses more than the wins? What are you more of a I remember the wins guy more than the losses?
Well, I'll tell you, I remember the losses, and Dan, that's what eventually got to me when I left coaching the first time. I couldn't get over a loss, and it negatively influenced my preparation to get ready to play next week. I'm thinking about Wednesday after a loss, what I should have done to help my team win last Sunday. And there goes a couple of days of lack of focus on what I have to do to win next Sunday. And it spiraled me down mentally and emotionally. And that's why I left coaching for a while. I didn't plan on being out 14 years. But that's why I left, and the thrill of the win didn't last that long. Right away, you'd win, and 10 minutes later, you're worried about getting ready to play the next game, and my wife would say, for criminy sakes, Dick, you just won the game. Enjoy it. Take an evening to enjoy it. Hell, I would go back to this stadium and get ready to do the next game and almost pass up the fact that we won today. Bad habits.
Did you change when you went back? Did you change?
Yes.
Did you consciously make a decision to change? Go ahead.
Yes, Dan, definitely. Having been out for 14 years, I knew I couldn't be my own offensive coordinator. I couldn't be my own quarterback coach, and I couldn't call the plays. I'd been away from it too much. Yes, I'd been involved in watching it, but I wasn't coaching it, teaching it, and disciplining it. So I hired coordinators to do that. I just made sure I hired good people, brought them into an environment that was conducive to good coaching and good structure for players, and then gave them the time to coach. You can't do that anymore. The union in the NFL controls the amount of time you're on a practice field, the amount of double days you can have, the amount of contact you can have during the season, the amount of time you can wear pads. You couldn't do it the way we did then. And I think probably overall it's better for the players because, I see a lot of my old players. I started in the league in 1969. And when you combine the age they are today with 9 or 10 years in the NFL, you feel sorry for them. Now, I have never had a player tell me he wouldn't do it all over again if he could, but a lot of them are struggling, Dan. So I think the structure of today of shortening practice, less contact, and now I watch teams play Sunday. They don't even get the 3-point stance, the offensive linemen don't. They're up in a 2-point stance. So I think overall for the health of the player, I think that's good. Yeah. Harder for the coach.
A lot of people are saying it's hurting.
He wants to coach him. Yeah.
A lot of people say it's hurting the quality of play of the NFL. Do you believe that?
Well, I think the game is more exciting than it's ever been. And just look at the winning margins right now are very close. It's setting records. It's more entertaining today. There aren't as many 14-7, 10-7 games. People are more explosive. The rules have favored the offense. Everybody's opened up their schemes, and it's more exciting. Fundamentally, I see a lot of players don't play their positions as well as some of the guys that used to play it because you don't have as much time with the individual player to, most of your practice session goes to execution of your game plan coming up this next week. And you don't have the time to work individually with each player playing his position fundamentally better. It's tougher. I know it's tougher.
Coach, when you came back and you had your first loss, I'm gonna go back to something we were talking about because when I was a head coach, I got out and I never went back. Same exact reason as you. I got depressed and a loss. I couldn't sleep. This is weird, but I couldn't sleep in a bed. I had to sleep on a couch or a floor because if I slept in a bed, I couldn't get my head off the pillow after a loss. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand.
So when you came back, did you have to keep fighting the urge that you had 14 years ago about a loss affecting you?
I don't think not as bad, no. I just think, there's, regardless of how old you are, you continue to mature. And I watched a lot of fine coaches coach when I was in broadcasting. And I think I learned a lot from them. I listened to them. I watched them coach. I sat in their meetings. I watched them practice. I sat in their locker rooms. And, I think I was more mature in delegating responsibility and designating responsibility. And then making sure I provided the environment conducive to that coach doing a real good job. And making sure that I provided an environment for that player coming into our organization could be made into a better player. And, the overall scheme. I mean, I coached everybody from the person that answers the phone at the front desk right on into when I went back with the Rams. And, they were the losingest team in football. And they installed the control that I needed within the entire building, within the personnel department, the equipment room, the doctors, everybody. We all came to work wanting to do the same thing, the same way, for the same reasons.
You know, Brad Stevens, the head coach of Butler, when they went to 2 straight national
Oh,
championship games at Butler, I asked Brad's a friend, I said, Brad, is there a secret that people don't really know about? You know what he said, Coach? Exactly what you said. He said, everybody in our building is moving in the janitors, everybody's moving in the same direction. There's nobody that's pulling against us. Exactly what you just said there.
You know, normally when you get hired in the NFL, Dan, you get hired into a losing environment. Very seldom do coaches take over winning teams. I never did. And I'll tell you, I say this and not even jokingly. You could walk into a losing building, you can smell it. You can recognize it on the expressions of people's faces. You know, I've had people say to me when I'm starting out in a program, Coach, you know, I've been doing it this way for a long time. I've seen coaches come and go. I'll be here when you're gone. Well, it was nice for me able to say, listen, I have control of your job. You'll be gone before I am. All of a sudden, attitudes change, you know. But 90% of the people in a building that have been losing want to win. They just need direction. They need people that care about them and respect their responsibility. How minor it may seem, there's no minor jobs in a building that's put together correctly. They're all critical, all important. Yeah.
Coach, you're a legend in Philadelphia. The Eagles are back rolling. Give me your thoughts on what's going on in Philadelphia.
Well, here's a guy, Nick Sirianni and his staff, and comes in and contradicts all my philosophies about the harder you work, the better you get. You know, he's backed off a lot. He hasn't used a lot of the time the union even allots it to. But, you know, I've always said if you have enough good players, they overcome whatever you're doing wrong or right. I mean, and he's done a good job with it. They're a very talented football team, and he's put them together. They believe it in each other. They believe in the system. They appreciate the days off he gives them and the time they didn't even have them. Minicamp, they canceled it, these kinds of things. And they're very talented. Howie Roseman's done a beautiful job with the personnel. They don't have a weakness. The only weakness is if somebody gets hurt and someone else has to play the position. And the last 2 weeks, they've had 2 backup offensive linemen come in games and play like starters. Great coaching by the staff that's there. I'm very impressed with what he's doing, and it's a good football team. It'll take a real good football team to beat them. They're 6-0, the only one in the NFL, and I know what that feeling's like. It's a wonderful feeling. But Dan and Bobby Knight would tell you this: you got to watch out for the win streaks because everyone comes to work now. They got a smile on their face, they're relaxed, they're walking out off the practice field, walking out to go to work with pads on, laughing and joking, and all of a sudden, someone kicks them in the butt. And I've been fortunate enough to coach 3 different teams, and all 3 have at one time experienced being the only undefeated team. And a couple of times we got beat by teams that were losing teams because we all felt too good. You know, it's still a contact sport. You know, it's still a combat sport. You know, so that takes a frame of mind. And Bobby Knight, I think, was a genius at creating the intensity he needed on the practice, you know, and all that kind of stuff. And I can remember sitting in that little barbecue place in Indiana there until 2:00 in the morning talking sports with him. And they want to close the restaurant, but they wouldn't do it because Bobby Knight wasn't ready to go home yet. I'm ready to go to bed, but I had to keep listening because I enjoyed it so much.
Coach, I always say when I played for Coach Knight, people always ask me, and this is something that you talked about. He would always say, people always ask me, all right, what's the best thing Coach Knight did? And I always said this. I said, look, preparation was second to none, but when you won what everybody else thought was a big game, by the time you left that locker room, he didn't have you forget about the win, but part of your brain was on to the next game. You know what I mean? He was great. Because particularly in this day and age, man, the noise around winning teams is insane, right?
Yeah. Well, as what you'll notice in a locker room in the NFL, especially when you start out a new team, you can lose a football game. I used to do this purposely. I'd stay in the locker room and watch players leave the locker. Okay. And I always worried about the guy that left with a big smile on his face or laughing or can't wait to get to the party he's going to or to the people he's meeting for dinner after the game, as if he won the game. And I always kept that image in the back of my mind when it came time to make final cuts, when two players were very close in the evaluation process. I like seeing that guy that left the locker room feeling he didn't do well enough or make a strong enough contribution to winning that day, so we got beat. And that's there are people that losing doesn't hurt as much. Okay, and you got to be careful. You don't want too many of them on your squad.
Coach, this has been a blast. I kept you too long. I was going to keep you 15 minutes, but I kept you dang near a half hour. I can't thank you enough. I've had a blast talking to you, Coach. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Dan, and best to Bobby Knight. I for some reason, I think I'm having some internet problems within my system the last few days here out in the country where I live in Pennsylvania because.
Well, you're great on here. You were absolutely great.
All righty. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Coach. Thanks. Man, was that fun. You young kids, which there are none watching this, but hey, if you're a young coach, you need to get a hold of Coach Vermeil and just sit and talk to that man. That was a blast. All right, I got a lot to get to today. That got me fired up. Is Dak Prescott back? I don't know. We got a bunch of clips. We're going to Rocky Top when we come back. Stay right here. Tell your friends. You're not going to believe the video we got from what transpired in Knox Vegas, baby. We'll be right back.
Watch Tommy Lahren is Fearless and get exclusive content at Outkick.com. But did you miss an episode? Don't worry, we've got you covered. Well, the virus that causes COVID-19 was first identified in December 2019. And by December 11th, 2020, the Pfizer vaccine became the first to receive emergency use authorization from the FDA. Wow, a year, huh? Not 5 to 10? Not 10 to 15? Just one, huh? That sounds safe. But I mean, let's go ahead and throw all the side effect horror stories out the window. Let's throw Big Pharma a bone and pretend it's safe. Are the COVID vaccines effective? Well, we know now that people have died from COVID after receiving the vaccines, and we know for damn sure by now they don't prevent infection or spread. But is this a relatively new revelation? No, it's not. In fact, according to this testimony by Pfizer top executive and the company's president of international development markets, Janine Small, Pfizer had no idea if their mystical, magical rush vaccine would do jack. When I say about officers that die in the line of duty, and of course you got the green-haired liberals on there that are, well, they know what they signed up for. They knew what that job was. They didn't have to use that force. That they signed up to die in the line of duty. I mean, that's essentially what they're saying. When you hear that, what would you tell these people?
These are human beings, just like your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, somebody you love. Somebody that loved them will no longer see them ever again in their lives. Last night in Bristol, Connecticut, I believe it was a fake 911 call, and a gentleman had met these men. I don't know if there's a woman involved as well, but these law enforcement officers, and executed them. And I know for a fact the one sergeant there has 2 small children and a 3rd baby on the way, I was told this morning. So how is that fair? Why did they deserve to die when they showed up to do something so noble?
Tune in Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, where I break down the hot topics, and of course, I'll have some final thoughts.
Hey, that was so good. With Coach, I don't even know what to tell you. That's why this show continues to evolve as, well, I don't know, maybe the greatest show in the history of the world. Hey, look, a lot went down in college football. The road no longer goes through Indiana. Purdue got a win. Aiden O'Connell, if they had a little bit better of a start, maybe got a little stop early, he would be in the Heisman chase, but he's not, but he's having a great year, so don't at me about it, people. I mean, it's not like I gave you a dog. It's not like I gave you some schlep. Excuse me. Not like I gave you some schlep where we're just going to, Tennessee has moved to 3rd in the country. Alabama has dropped to 8th in the country. The Tennessee-Alabama game and the environment around it was one of the greatest games I've ever seen. We're talking about 52-49, a knuckleball kick. I don't know if it got hit or not. It looked like it got hit to me, but a knuckleball kick got it done. Now, you want to know what's worth $100,000? Which is what the NCAA/SEC fined Tennessee for. We're going to show you right here what is worth $100,000. All right, my guys Ryan and my guys Dylan put together, well, this is the journey of the goalpost after 52-49 after the win. All right, let's start it out. The journey first being torn down. Look at this. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Here we go. Oh, we're carrying it through the streets. I gotta tell you, I love that. Oh, man, a lot of schools have traditions. I told you, Indiana, when Indiana wins a big basketball game, everybody runs to the fountain. Some people get naked, some people drinking beer, some people diving in. I don't know, but it's fun. And then I saw the president of Tennessee smoking a cigar, and people are asking him, hey, man, what's going on here? Gonna pay $100,000? And my man said, man, are you kidding me? It is worth it. Yes, it is worth it. Was it the greatest game ever? Look, if you're gonna ask every person that was in Neyland Stadium, was it the greatest game ever? The answer is gonna be yes. If you would ask my daughter's school, she teaches in Nashville, was it the greatest game ever? Yes. If you're gonna ask Ryan and Dylan and Clay Travis, and everybody here, was it the greatest game ever? The answer is going to be yes. I don't know if it's the greatest game ever, but I got to tell you, in this day and age, with everything on videotape and everybody having a comment, it's in the top 2. If you want to say, whatever game you liked is better, then that's on you. But there aren't very many games that held your attention, particularly to a guy like me. Look, I root for Tennessee because, well, Tennessee, Ryan, Dylan, all these guys lived there, and it seemed like a really good time. It seemed like a great time. It seemed like a fantastic time, something fun to be around, and away we went, right? But the truth of the matter is I got no dog in the fight. I like Alabama. I like dynasties. I like seeing up-and-coming teams like Josh Heupel's team. But man, oh man, was that good. And I got to tell you, I'm not sure you're going to see anything better, although maybe you will next week, because that seems to be how college football is going along. I think I'm happiest for Smokey X. He served since 2013. This is his final season of duty before retirement. He's never had a Vol victory against Alabama in his lifetime. He's the goodest boy, and he deserved this win. There you go, Smokey X, the mascot. Everybody getting in on the party, and everybody should get in on the party. There's never a reason not to be in on this party. Everybody should be in. All right, I'm going to jump over some things here. Major League Baseball. Let's go to Dakich's dumpster fire, shall we? Can we go to the dumpster fire? Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't understand this. I don't understand this. I will not understand this. I will live a lifetime and not understand this, but I hope you can clear this up for me. Why does our president insist on sniffing? Why does he sniff young girls? Look, when he tells this woman, and you're going to see the video in a second, he's going to tell the woman, look, no serious boyfriends until you're 30. That's cool. That's grandfatherly advice. I can get down with that. Fine. But why do we got to always be creepy? Why? Can we play this video? There's two of these. Well, I don't know if we have the second one, but there's two of these. Why always creepy? Look at him.
Look at him.
Now, the very important thing I told my daughter and
There's
granddaughter,
hands, of course.
no serious guys till you're 30.
Look at this girl.
Right?
No what?
No serious guys till you're 30.
I'll keep that in mind. At least.
Kevin, go down.
Look at this. Watch this. He's talking, and then he's got to go. Why? Why? Why do we have a president that does these things? Hey, look, I'm sitting there talking to a woman. I'm talking to her. I'm talking to a guy. I'm talking to her. Maybe you're in a bar. You get close. I don't know. But why must we sniff all the time? Why do we always move in? I got to tell you, I'll live to be 100. My doctor told me I should live to be 100, and I'm with him. But I'll live to be 100, never understand. Look at this girl. She's like, oh, my God, oh, come on. I mean, what? Look at her. She's like, why must this be tolerated? Well, 317-239-1070. That's actually not the number here. That's the number at my studio. But will somebody explain to me why this must be tolerated? Why we must tolerate a freaking president that does this stuff? He's a sniffer. And he's more than that. I mean, we all know, but you know what? It don't matter because this clown tells us that he is rolling as a president. The economy's great and everything else. What are we talking about? This just makes me nuts. Like if that was my daughter, I'd be like, yo, president, get that away from her. And Secret Service guys would come on and whoop my backside, but I'd be like, hey, whoop me, but I don't want him sniffing my daughter, walking up from behind. Jeez. All right, I do like this, Steve Wilkes and the Panthers. Now, this is a dumpster fire, the Panthers. You know this. The Panthers got rid of the coach, Matt Rule. And next thing you know, well, new coach comes in, Steve Wilkes, and you got this guy, Robbie Anderson. Now, I always tell you it's the same guys. It's always the same people. Always. And when I say always, I mean always. Why sniff? Anyway, so Robbie Anderson decides he's going to take on the coach. Now, we can't show you the video, but I like what Steve Wilkes does. Steve Wilkes says, get the hell out of here. Now, look, the Panthers are a complete dumpster fire. You rarely see in the NFL, rarely, not always, but rarely, do you see a team, quote, interested in talking about one of the best players supposedly in the league, Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is supposedly one of the guys that everybody loves. He's a fantasy freak. He's quick, he's strong, whatever. Stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. You never see that in the NFL, do you? Well, guess what? Man, the Carolina Panthers got rid of their coach. The quarterback's hurt. They got a bad quarterback. The other quarterback, Sam Darnold, he's on the DL. So P.J. Walker's quarterback. I really like that kid. His name was Phillip when he was here in Indiana with the Colts. And he was a good dude, really good dude. But Phillip Walker, P.J. Walker, isn't good enough to lead you. The team's a train wreck. Robbie Anderson starts acting like an idiot. And Steve Wilkes goes all Mike Singletary, kicks him out. I'm down with it. All right. You know, and by the way, I'm going to get to Bubba Wallace fighting Kyle, or kind of fighting Kyle Larson here in a minute. You know, and I know You know I love Lamar Jackson. You do. You know I love him. But that love is fading. You know, when you were in high school and you started dating the girl of your dreams, and then you're like, nah, or you're in high school and you started dating this boy that you think is so cool, and then eventually you're like, nah, I'm good. Seriously. That's what me and Lamar Jackson are quickly becoming. You cannot go 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions, and a 28 QBR in the fourth quarter. Yesterday it happened again. High snap, he goes and gets it, starts running, and makes the cardinal sin of quarterbacks. Running for your life, throwing across your body into the middle of the field is a formula for disaster. And guess what? That disaster struck, interception. Next thing you know, the Giants are going to win. I got it documented here. Week 2. 4-touchdown lead against Miami. They blow it. 17-point early lead against Buffalo in week 4. And my man Lamar Jackson throws a late interception that costs. And then, of course, yesterday he throws an interception to Julian Love, which gives the Giants life. And then Kayvon Thibodeau just absolutely makes him fumble, knocks him out of the way, goes and gets the fumble, and the Giants go ahead and win. This is not how you become the MVP. This is not how you become one of the 5 great quarterbacks in the league. You are a dangerous player, certainly, but now you become dangerous for both teams. Think about that. You can't be dangerous for both teams, Lamar. If I'm going to love you long time, which I still do, I'm not breaking up with you, but I want you to start making your team win. When my wife dumped me, way back when we were dating, my brother's like, hey, let her know. I said, let her know what? Let her know that you want to be part of the solution, not the problem, and then let it go. I said, all right, I want to be part of the solution, not the problem, and I let it go. Lamar, be part of the solution. Right now, you're part of the problem, and it's making me crazy because you know I love you. You do. I hope. Man. All right, we had a little fight in NASCAR. Now, I'm not going to make this a big deal. I love NASCAR. NASCAR, they just fight. And I don't blame them. Let's see Bubba Wallace going at Kyle Larson. Everybody's all up in arms. Well, Bubba this, but no. Guys fighting NASCAR. What do you got here with Bubba? Let's see the video. Oh, we're pulling it up. It's unbelievable. Kyle Larson don't want to fight Bubba Wallace. Hey, man, I just want to spin you out going 180 miles an hour. Maybe next time Kyle Larson won't spin out Bubba Wallace. A lot of you guys on Twitter are losing your mind. Well, Bubba Wallace, Smollett, stop it. Guys fight all the time. I remember when Danica Patrick went down and she was going to throw hands. This is just 2 guys in Nashville one trying to throw hands and the other saying, no, you got it? I couldn't tell if you were in my ear. I'm on a new diet. So on my new diet, I'm drinking water all day. I saw myself in a picture. I didn't like it. But just stop with all the stupid comments about Bubba Wallace. NASCAR guys fight. They fight. That's what they do. They get going and they start throwing hands. They're mad at each other because let's not lie. NASCAR drivers knocking people off the track can kill you. All right, let's see the little fight going on right here. There's Bubba. There's Kyle. There's an official. Kyle don't want nothing to do with it. And Bubba knows it. All right. Well, you got to be consistent, Dan. You got to be consistent. If you said Draymond Green should be suspended, shouldn't Bubba Wallace? Heck no. Draymond Green unloaded a punch. Bubba Wallace just confronting a guy that knocked him off the road at 190 miles an hour. Yeah, fine them. Fine them both. I don't care. But serious business. There's nothing here. We've seen guys punch in windows in NASCAR. We've seen guys throwing hands left and right. Stop with the stupid. Who cares? Oh man, I love NASCAR fights. Lisa says, I'm a NASCAR fan. Have been for years. This isn't the first fight. It won't be the last. Keep your politics out of our sports. This is a guy named Tom Fitton wants to know, should he be arrested? Arrested? For what? A NASCAR fight? Stop it, stupid. Oh, Mary says NASCAR needs to take this as serious as it is. I really rooted for Bubba as a driver, but this whole situation stinks. And his response to it, from trying to start a fight with Larson to his cold response to knocking Bell out, was just pathetic. Yeah, I don't care. Look, I don't care. There's two interesting things in NASCAR. One are fights, two is crashes. I'm sorry. There's two interesting things in hockey. One is fights and one is goals. Now, look, if I am, I don't know, hypocritical, then I'm hypocritical. Because there is nobody in this world that is going to tell me that, you know what, hockey and NASCAR is exciting. No. I mean, just no. No, Bubba Wallace did nothing wrong. He did nothing wrong. And if you think he did anything wrong, nah, he didn't. That's NASCAR. That's racing, as we say in racing. Hey, by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this, but as the weekend came, I'm going to give you some numbers here. It's pretty amazing. The Dodgers, 111-51. They get beat by the Padres, 89-73. Now, look. We all know in baseball, 111 wins doesn't mean squat. Not even a little bit. Not squat when you get to the postseason. The Braves, 101 wins. They gone. They gone. Man, I tell you what, the Phillies are fun. I have not watched one Phillies game since Roy Halladay threw like a no-hitter in the first game of the playoffs. I think that's the last one. The Astros stayed and kept going. Mariners tried. It's like 18 innings. It was unbelievable. Tonight, the Guardians and the Yankees, and I know El Presidente and my boy KC are very nervous about this, but that's all right. It's good to be nervous in, October 17th, is it not? I mean, daggone, I wish the Cubs were making me nervous on October 17th. Only thing the Cubs are doing is making me have gas on October 17th, wondering who in fact, are they going to get or not get? That's it. That's all I care about. Who they going to get, who they not going to get, I don't know. Dan, my man, Northwest Indiana golfer, says that if Kyle Lawson would have turned around and swung his helmet, he'd have been good with it. They may be good race car drivers, but they aren't good fighters. Yeah, look, but he did nothing wrong. Not a damn thing. All right, we got a legend with us, and if it happens in Tennessee, you know Jonathan Hutton is going to be all over it. And a lot of things happened in Tennessee this weekend. We'll also get an update on the AFC South. We'll get an update on the environment at Neyland Stadium. We'll get an update on whatever Jonathan Hutton wants to give us a damn update on when we come back. You kidding me?
Hey, it's Hutton from Outkick 360. If you couldn't catch the show last week, here's what you missed. What would the umpires say off mic, privately about the rules and how they have to check the pitchers?
Some of the guys I've talked to, they don't like these rules. They feel like it's kind of ridiculous to go over. And I mean, we've seen guys rub people's hair. It looks like they're a monkey picking out fleas.
Yes.
You just too many things. I mean, I'll never forget the first couple of days that they did it. Mad Max unbuckled his pants. His pants fell down. He was like, hey, just go ahead and check me. Let's go. The reality of it is you don't do that in the middle of the season. I think it set a really bad precedent last year. And then going into this year, I mean, depending on where you're at, if the ball isn't like the same, like out in San Diego, LA, Arizona, the weather's dry, the ball dries out. And when it dries out, it really doesn't have any feel or any grip. and it feels terrible. It feels like you have powder on the ball.
So, Armando, we have not had you on since the controversial roughing the passer penalties on Sunday against Tom Brady with Grady Jarrett and the Falcons, and then Monday with Chris Jones and the Chiefs on Derek Carr. When you see these, do you think it's a direct correlation to what's going on with quarterbacks hitting the ground that we've seen in very visible settings, or is this something else happening with two just really egregious calls in the NFL?
So I'm going to be the idiot in the room. The Tom Brady call, if you're saying that was egregious, it probably was. Then you have to also say that the Marcus Mariota sack in the second quarter was also egregious because it was the same play. Exactly. Just two different guys, but the exact same play.
We're discussing the sports topics you care about from every angle. Catch me, Chad Withrow, and Paul Koharski each weekday afternoon, 3 to 6 Eastern, right here at Outkick.com. Stay with us across the Outkick network.
If it happens, Outkick is there, baby. Here's my man, Jonathan Hutton, Clay Travis, live. Well, not live then, and with reaction from Neyland Stadium.
Clay, you were tearing up at the end.
I cried. I mean, that's how much it meant to me. It's embarrassing to be 43 years old and cry at the result of a football game, but I'll tell you this. When Tennessee in 1990 lost to Alabama, I was thinking about this when I was watching. I was with my grandpa who played for General Neyland in the 1930s.
He's going to cry again.
And
Cry.
I was watching the game with him. Tennessee was supposed to beat Alabama. They didn't ever beat Alabama when I was a kid. And 1990, Tennessee was trying a field goal. It got blocked. Alabama recovered and made a field goal to win 9-6. Yeah. And I cried after that game. And I was at my grandpa's house in Chattanooga, Tennessee, Red Bank to be specific. And he was so disappointed in me that I cried about a team about Tennessee losing. And he said, you don't cry about losing football games, but I'm probably going to cry here. When that kick was not good, and then Tennessee made the kick to win, I thought back to being 11 years old, and I felt like it was almost like cosmic and karmic justice that Tennessee made that kick after Alabama missed it. It took me back to being 11 years old in my grandpa's house in Red Bank, Tennessee, who played for General Neyland in the 1930s. What a fucking... Sorry.
Unbelievable.
Cigars are next.
Yes, definitely.
Hey, Jonathan, I love I don't know what the right word is, throwing it back in their face, but I love the cigars are next. Cigars are next. And that was, for a lot of people, not just Clay, but for a lot of Tennessee folks, man, you guys got it stuffed in your face from frickin' Alabama, 15 years worth.
Dan, this was the best college football game I've seen in person. And look, I'm not partial here. I didn't go to Tennessee, and I didn't have relatives that played there the way that Clay does, or Chad, who's a graduate, Alan, who another good friend who was sitting next to me in the back of the pickup truck. But that was an epic environment, and I thought about this. Everybody, we didn't go on the field. We stayed and just watched the atmosphere, and everybody in there had a cigar in their pocket, And I'm thinking, how many times we know, because that was their first win over Saban. There's been 15 years of demons that have haunted them in this rivalry in some way. And how many times they left with that cigar still in the cellophane, right? That was a really cool environment. And the other thing that made it really special, I think, for everybody involved is you could feel this last week whenever they were up big at LSU. And then that carries over to the Alabama game where there's just this confidence level in this coach and this team. And that's also acknowledging that I thought Alabama played really well with Bryce Young coming back, who was phenomenal, stepping up and making some throws in this game. But Tennessee did everything it needed to do, and they didn't, they had the fumble recovery that was taken back for a touchdown. Alabama took a 49-42 lead. And at that point, you're thinking, well, this is typical Tennessee against Alabama or in a big spotlight moment. And it's not typical Tennessee. And I think that's part of the emotion with everyone. And that was a cool moment there with Clay, because that was authentic then. And even more so in the moment, we were recording the kick, which was an incredible moment in and of itself with the knuckle kick, Dan. And everybody in there, if you just turn around, there were, grown men tearing up because they had been waiting and they're finally seeing it, but they can't believe what they're seeing with the field being stormed. And the first time since '98 when they beat Florida, that's only the first time since then that we've seen that type of madhouse at Neyland Stadium. It was a cool night in Knoxville.
When did the night start? Like, how was the environment before? Was it, we're going to kick the crap out of them, but we never do, so we're nervous? I mean, what was the vibe going in?
The vibe going in, it was, it was optimistic, but also realistic. Honestly, like I thought Withrow last week had the most measured response and I think I heard this from a lot of Tennessee fans. They felt like Tennessee was going to play a really good game, but Alabama, top to bottom, is just more talented, and that was under the pretense of Bryce Young's playing in the game. And the good thing about Tennessee in this, for the most part, they played with a lead or they were tied. They didn't have to chase. Alabama was doing that. But Alabama's good enough to get down 14 and just continue to play their game. And ultimately, they retook the lead. They took the lead in the second half, and you're looking around going, uh-oh, early fourth quarter, saw this last year, and it ended up not being the case. Alabama did everything but make the kick at the end. And I realized they had 17 penalties, which, 16 of those were probably due to the crowd. Neyland was supercharged, but I think a lot of people felt like if they were going to win, it was going to be an all-time classic game, and it was. No one thought they were going in and just boat racing Bama by any means, especially with Bryce Young taking the field.
Yeah, I mean, even up 17 early, I mean, they're coming back. But I gotta, man, you and I spoke off air. Hendon Hooker, look, I get it every week. Me personally, I've got a different Heisman Trophy guy, but this dude, the throws he made, the two throws he made to put the Vols in field goal position, as good as any. And if I'm Saban, I'm hostile at my defensive players and coordinator for allowing it.
Well, think about this. Tennessee averaged, Dan, 8 yards per play. And when you consider that Hooker threw for 385 yards on 21 completions, that's 18.3 yards per completion. He only had 9 completions, or 9 incomplete passes. Sorry. Everything else was a completion. And of those 9 incomplete passes, I would say 7 of those were throws where his wide receiver was open and the pass was incomplete, either because of a missed throw, drop by the wide receiver, or just a bad route. In one case, Keaton had that deep throw, I believe, on 4th down. He was open. They just didn't connect on the play. That means of the 9, only 2 times did Hooker really have no one to throw to against that Crimson Tide secondary? Or did he not have to have time in the pocket because he had to get rid of it due to pressure? That is remarkable to me, considering some of the guys. I don't recall hearing Will Anderson's name in the stadium.
Right.
And that's that's due in large part to Josh Heupel. We discussed it last week on 360. You know, the game plan where you have Saban's defense going up for the second time now against Heupel versus Heupel having to slow down the best pass rusher in the country. And Tennessee won that matchup, and Hendon Hooker was as poised as last year's Heisman Trophy winner. This year in 6 games, Hooker's been sacked just 9 times. And last Saturday, 1 time. He's been sacked 36 times last season. So they have really turned things around up front, and offensively, he is as good as advertised. He has been great this year. He was good last year. Hendon Hooker, he is great in 2022.
All right, number 3 in the country, which means you're firmly right there to make the college football playoffs. Now, there is a lot going on here, but you've already beaten Alabama. You've already gone down to LSU. How good is this Vols team? A lot of teams can't handle success. What are your thoughts moving forward here?
They'll handle success, and that's due to Josh Heupel handling things as evenly as possible since he came in and took over this program about a year and a half ago. And he took over a team that was not good, awful for Tennessee standards. And they've had some awful years, but nothing like the team he took over, in my opinion. And he's not one time made an excuse. There's a lot of excuse making going on for a lot of highly paid coaches in the SEC, where, Brian Kelly, over under for him in year 1 is 7 wins for a guy who wins 10 all the time. And, Jimbo Fisher continues to lose games that A&M should have no business losing. Those teams are going to get better, but Tennessee was not good when Heupel took over and had not been good. And I think with this team, they've got a veteran quarterback at 24 years old. That matters. And they have a defense now that is gaining confidence that I thought, despite the 49 points on the board, really hung in there and helped the offense create that 17-point lead early and flip some field position and make Alabama earn everything. That's the crucial part of this. I can't wait for the Georgia matchup in Athens. You know us, we're already lobbying to get down there. And I think Clay has every expectation of taking a big Outkick cruise. So load up. Let's hop the bus. I'll see you down there. It's going to be a really cool season. Now, here's a scenario, if I may, because we were batting this around at the tailgate prior to kickoff. Let's say, so Tennessee beats Bama. They do. Let's say Georgia beats Tennessee in the regular season. Alabama and Georgia win out. Georgia doesn't lose until Alabama beats them in the SEC championship game. Who goes to the college football playoff if Tennessee also wins out and their only loss is to Georgia, who just lost to Alabama, who Tennessee won against? That's the craziness of this, where I'm not sure what would happen with the college football playoff committee. There is where the real debate would happen. If the SEC East team that doesn't make it is the team that, actually beat the SEC champion.
Well, back to your first point. I own a bus. I have a bus. I can load up a bus, and I can do every show right there in frickin' wherever what's the town that Georgia's in?
Athens.
Yeah. What am I? So that, number one, I got no problem. I can do every show from there. Number two, this is how I look at discussions like the college football playoff right now. Everybody in the SEC, now you may disagree with this, but everybody got helped by SC losing. Like, you got to eliminate teams like SC, right? And then they can't get in with 2 losses, in my opinion. You get rid of them, that's big ultimately moving forward, is it not?
That's huge. In Utah, the loss to Florida by Utah is, I think, going to look worse every week, because I think Utah is pretty good, but the SC game that they just played is the game they were talking about all off season. They skipped ahead And comparing that to Tennessee, I'll tie it in. Utah fans, we have a former intern who worked for who still does work for the Utah football program. And he, this offseason, came and saw us in Nashville, and he said, yeah, the Southern Cal game is going to be crazy. I'm like, you're talking about a game in October. You got Florida coming up. So they skipped ahead. Tennessee, all offseason, was talking about, well, what if, and I say fans, I'm saying, what if Tennessee beats Pitt, or they split against Pitt and LSU? Like they're doing all of these calculations before they even get to Alabama and Georgia. It was just, can they be the third best team in the SEC and continue to climb the stairs? And they're doing much more than that now. First time we've seen them unbeaten at this point since the championship year. And that's the year that everyone talks about, because we haven't seen anything like that in Knoxville from this group. It's pretty cool. And I agree with you on SC. Clemson continues to win some hard fought battles. They're to be reckoned with in their upcoming schedule. While they're in this gauntlet right now, I think that the Tigers are the best team for sure in the ACC. And, then we see what happens in the Big Ten, because Michigan, what they just did against Penn State, wow. And then they still have Ohio State coming up, who I think is the best team right now, top to bottom in the country. So, hey, this is going to be a fun ride here.
Oh, my God. I mean, literally, I don't want to do anything on Saturdays. Like, I wake up early on Saturdays to get stuff done so that I turn every TV in the house on so that I don't have to waste time walking in. All right. Big one this weekend, big boy. My Colts are back. Matt Ryan is rolling. Titans had a week off. It's the Colts coming to town. Give me some thoughts.
So I'm curious what you'll think about this, Dan. I think, for the most part, when these teams play, they played, was it October? First Sunday in October was their first matchup. I can't remember the date. They've got the next game coming up this Sunday. So a very small window of time. I don't think you can make many adjustments within that window of time for either side. You know each other so well in the division. But the team I saw yesterday from Indy, that's the first time I've seen that version of the Indianapolis Colts, where I thought they played with some grit. 29 points on their final 5 possessions. Matt Ryan threw for nearly 400 yards. 37 pass attempts in the first half. He had 37 pass attempts total against the Titans earlier this month. Point being, they've got to have that version of the offense with the run game really messed up due to injury with Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines. I don't know their injury status. You'll know that better than me. But this is a Titans secondary that that version of Matt Ryan wins against. Especially with Alec Pierce starting to come to life, catching that touchdown pass. I know he was targeted way more than his completions, but he made the big catch at the end. And Pittman is Pittman. I like the offense that I saw. I realize it took a little while to get them going, but when it came time to make a drive and go get a play, Matt Ryan did that. And the pass protection was really good yesterday. That's a different Colts team than the one I saw take the field against the Titans in Indy. And you know as well as I do right now, both of these teams are described the same way I would describe everyone in the AFC other than Buffalo and Kansas City. 22 of the 32 teams, top to bottom in the league, are 3-3 or below, including 3 divisions where no team is above 500. Titans and the Colts, meanwhile, are looking around going, this is wide open. And it signifies that the winner of this game is taking a big lead on the division, because I think it's kind of the same scenario we saw earlier this month.
I agree. Did the Titans, everybody needs a week off, okay? I get it, but there's different levels. Were the Titans banged up to the point where this bye week came at the perfect time, or are they just normal banged up?
No, they are the injury bug last year. They are one roster player behind the pace that they were on last year, where they set the NFL record for most players on their active roster. And as much roster movement as they've had, they're one move away to be on that same pace. So it's not great by any means. They don't have much any depth at the offensive line right now anymore, due to the players that they're using already. And defensively, they're not getting great play at corner from their first-round pick, Caleb Farley. So if they have another injury there, then they're really mixing and matching. They're standing on the edge of a cliff. They find a way, though, to win tight football games. They're not going to blow anyone out, and they grind things out through their run game, which hasn't been good in the fourth quarter, top to bottom this year. I'm intrigued to see which direction this team goes, because last year I counted them out as immediately right after Henry got that injury, and they still connected and did their things with the offensive line that allowed the run game to be really good. They've got to improve up front in the trenches in order to continue that pace, because injury-wise, they can get some guys back, but it's still the guys they're leaning on who are not hurt. They've got to get them going in a much more consistent production than what we've seen to this point, because it's not every week where you can rely on the defense to only allow 7 points on average in a second half. That's what they've been doing. They've been locking down in the second half. They've got to be better.
It's interesting. You mentioned the second half. Colts gave up their first points of the year in the fourth quarter. And you and I have talked about this before. These two teams are such similar teams. The Burks kid, is Burks out?
Yeah, he's going to be out. He's out for at least 2 more games. That he's eligible to come back after 2 games. So he could be back by the first week of November, but they haven't confirmed that. It's a turf toe injury. And, initially I thought that the bye week counted for a week that you had to be out, but it doesn't. It's 4 games, not 4 weeks. And so he's out for at least 2 more. And those are 2 division games. The Titans have the Colts, and then they have the Texans in back-to-back weeks. It's a similar schedule to what the Colts are doing right now, going from Jags to Titans. So Burks is out. Their wide receiver play is not good. Their best receivers right now, most consistent, are in the backfield with Derrick Henry and Hilliard out of the backfield. That's where they're getting the most production. And the other guys are just possession guys. It's a weird offense right now, weird rhythm, because whenever they get, they stack all these plays together, go to 11 play, 85-yard drive, and they get a touchdown, or they're going 3 and out. It's one or the other. There's really no rhyme or reason to how they get things going unless Derrick Henry gets going. And with the best game we saw from him was that first half against Indy, where even another touchdown was called back due to a hold by Traylon Burks. So if they can get Henry going, they can win Sunday at Nissan Stadium. If not, I think it depends on if the Colts are bringing Jonathan Taylor to town.
Be helpful. Be very helpful. All right, I'm going to ask you, are you buying the Packers and the Buccaneers eventually this year?
Yeah. Well, hang on. I think I'm buying Green Bay. I'm buying Green Bay. Tampa's got there's some weird issues going on there where, I think Brady's numbers are not awful. But that we have seen where it is a grind. Fournette willed his way into the end zone a few times there, but this is they just suffered the biggest upset, point spread wise, the biggest upset of the NFL season at this point, to Pittsburgh, a Pittsburgh team that Kenny Pickett's playing his first game at home. He gets knocked out. Trubisky comes in. Minka Fitzpatrick doesn't play. They're down 3 corners. And Trubisky still comes back and gives them the momentum. That was Brady's first loss to a rookie quarterback since 2014. He's been 12-0 to this point, and then he loses to Kenny Pickett / Mitchell Trubisky. That was I think that's a game that tells us they're not exactly where we thought they were, much like the LA Rams, right? The Rams, they won yesterday, but I don't think the Rams are anywhere close to the team we saw win the Super Bowl. And Todd Bowles is referencing a Super Bowl team by the Bucs from 2 years ago at the podium yesterday. It's a weird vibe. Green Bay, though, I am buying because I think the passing game can only improve. And I do think that is a team that can also lean on two solid running backs. So I think their style of play and expectations for what Rodgers will eventually get out of that group, I think they'll be okay. I don't feel the same way about Tampa and the offensive line because Brady's either getting rid of the football so fast it doesn't matter, or he's ripping into his O-line on the sideline yesterday saying, I know you guys can be so much better. And I'm editing myself there.
Are you buying Bailey Zappi as Tom Brady and Mac Jones as Drew Bledsoe?
Well, not Drew Bledsoe yet, but here is Bailey Zappi in for Mac Jones. And in his 2 starts, he's completed 73% of his passes, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, and a great passer rating. That New England's defense has not allowed a rushing touchdown all season. There are more reasons why the Patriots are starting to win and stack wins right now. But the consistency with Zappi, and he's more of that spread style QB where Mac Jones is more of the pro style quarterback. And I think Zappi coming in and letting some of these passes fly, it's great. I mean, they've opened up the offense a bit. And the guy's coming off the bench as the 3rd string quarterback and acting like he's the heir apparent he's acting like he's Mac Jones. I love it. I buy into the quarterback issues there more than I do in Dallas. And even prior to last night's game with Cooper Rush, I think Zappi has a chance to keep the job, but I'm not comparing him to Bledsoe and Brady yet. Not just yet, based on a couple of wins against teams that New England, should probably be beating even with Mac Jones.
Last thing, you got to score. It's only Monday. I get it, but I'm not having you on every day. I got to have a score from you. Give me a score. I'd love to have you on every day, by the way.
Same for you, Dan. Titans Colts. This game. I'm taking the Colts by 3, a field goal. And I think it's because of what I saw this past week in the passing game for Matt Ryan, and the protection. The Jags weren't able to get pressure on Matt Ryan the same way that they did in week 1. I think that's a great sign for the Colts offensive line. Meanwhile, the last time I saw the Titans offensive line, Tannehill was sacked 5 times, getting hit a lot more, and they don't have much of a passing game whatsoever. And the bye week is going to help some guys get healthy. The bye week's not going to help some of their receivers get faster. So I'm taking the Colts, and I think the Titans and Colts split this series. I think this season, the AFC South will come down to the final couple weeks of the season. It did for the Colts last year, but the divisional matchups where the Titans will be playing Jacksonville and the Colts will be playing the Texans, and the war of attrition injury-wise, that's what determines the AFC South and what's not a very good division.
Colts are 3-point favorite. That surprised me a little bit, but I don't know. You go with what you go. It's early in the week. I suppose that'll be – you think that'll be bet down?
Yeah, maybe like half a point or something. But I don't think a lot of people betting this game are betting Titans. I think the vast majority of people think the Colts are the team to beat in the division, and they've been thinking that for the last couple of years. And I know we've gone through all the different reasons why that's not true. But I also think people see a Titans team that is just very inconsistent, very good defense, and an offense that is boom or bust. While they're hitting some big plays, they're not putting up many points. And if you think the Colts are going to score more than 21 or 23, then they're winning the game, because the Titans aren't scoring and keeping up with the top offenses in the league. They're not beating a team that throws for 400 yards in a game. And that's what the Colts did last week.
58 dropbacks, passes, and no sacks. That is unbelievable.
Yes.
I appreciate you, man. It was fun following you guys this weekend. It really was. I saw all the videos. That was a great, great time. By the way, my guy, one of my partners in the bus, who's our driver, is like, he already texted me. He's watching. He goes, I'm in. Let's go. We'll go to Athens. So all I need is the okay from the bosses.
Hey,
Have
are
a
you
good
bringing the
time. I
bus
want
this
you to know
weekend?
that.
Are you bringing the bus this weekend to Nashville?
No, just my wife. No. Although now that you said that, I'll be under pressure all of a sudden now from these guys. Hey.
Hey, come by,
Thanks,
come by,
Jonathan.
and come by.
Appreciate-
I know you're doing the show Friday, right? Come by and see us, and let's crank it up going into the weekend for a great NFL matchup between the Titans and the Colts to determine the AFC South, baby.
When I go to Nash Vegas, my answer is yes to everything. I just say yes. Hey, Dad, you want to go? Yes. Let's go.
Yes.
Here. Yes. Yeah. Thanks, Jonathan. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
That's my answer. Yes. That's great, man. That's great stuff. Outkick 360. Just keep it right here. They're fantastic. Chad and Paul and Jonathan, they're the best. They're the best, as I always say. They're the best. I got stock up, stock down coming up here. Stock up. Look, I don't want to hear about it. I get it. It's easy to say, well, Herschel Walker. Shut up. I got a lot of stock downs, including Herschel Walker. Stay right here.
Hey, I'm David Hookstead, host of American Joyride, a podcast where we shine a spotlight on patriotism and American exceptionalism. Take a look.
This is something, again, that I really like to ask military guys because I feel like they have unique perspectives, sometimes that surprise people. But most importantly, in my opinion, anyone who's sacrificed on any level tends to be very grateful or more grateful than just your average person. So when you hear people maybe say that America is a terrible place or that we're an evil country full of evil people, do you kind of cringe when you hear that? Like, what's your reaction when you turn on the news and it's just nonstop negativity around the clock about how awful this place is?
Well, I actually don't turn on the news anymore because of that.
Smart.
It's one, not true. And it's unbelievably toxic how that mindset and hearing it all the time. Even if one, you believe it, then you go around believing that about your own nation all the time. Like, that's a horrible way to feel about who you is. They're not leaving, right? They're not finding a more noble country to go to. They're just staying here and they're sulking and they're spreading this horrible idea about how shameful we should all feel all the time. And I don't want to live that way. But I don't believe it. And so listening to it just pisses me off. I don't think that anyone is really able to say that with a straight face unless they have paid no attention to world history.
Right.
Like, it takes a real level of ignorance of history to say that America is unique in its cruelty. Like, it's just absurd. It's really, we're not void of it, but we are certainly not unique in it.
Make sure to catch every single episode of American Joyride at Outkick.com.
You know, one of the funniest things going on right now is politics, and I like talking about politics. It's the reason I wanted to come over to Outkick, and one of the most interesting people in politics is Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker, the legendary football player, the Heisman Trophy winner. Herschel Walker has just riled up the world that we live in. Now, he had a debate against Raphael Warnock, the incumbent in Georgia, and he just crushed him. I mean, Friday night, it was an absolute boom. I will quote the spokesman, Will Kiley. He said that Walker dominated the first event after failing miserably. Raphael Warnock wants a do-over. So here's what happened. Herschel Walker said, I'm not going to go do another debate on Sunday with the Atlanta Press Club, and good for him. Look, this is put on by a press club. What do you think a press club is? Bunch of liberal clowns sitting there trying to discredit. I wouldn't go. Now, they put a chair of Walker and tried to make fun. But look, Herschel Walker, by all accounts, including, can you believe it, the Washington Post and the New York Times, actually saying that Walker did okay, which is like saying, man, he was the greatest debater in the history of the world. We all know the deal. Everybody knows the deal. I don't care about Herschel Walker's scandals. I don't care about any of it. And I will say this until I'm blue in the face. My Libby friends in the media say, well, I weep for a country and a state that would elect Herschel Walker. Yeah, we're weeping every day in this country and in this state for 84 million that elected Joe Biden. We weep for a country that would elect and a state that would elect Herschel Walker. Pull this. It plays jingle bells. Are you out of your mind? Yeah, absolutely. Hey, look, when the policies of this administration are so racist, so stupid, so against the American people, I don't know what to tell you. Look, I get it. Make America great is an inflammatory statement. How that's possible, I don't know. But the truth is we're making America awful right now. America is sliding down the tubes, and anybody involved with it, including this guy Warnock, they should be out of office so fast you're Linda Blair in The Exorcist. That's exactly right. My God, so Walker doesn't show for debate on Sunday. Nope. No. Not even close. I wouldn't show up either. Prove to me you're not sheep. Prove to me a press guy, a member of a press club, isn't a flaming crappy liberal that's trying to just subvert. Look, understand this. Liberals tell you they're the most tolerant of us all. Is anybody more intolerant? Does anybody call people names more than that Libby friends of yours? Stop it. Speaking of Libbies, they're in love with the administration in my city of Indianapolis. Stock up, by the way, for Herschel Walker. Stock up. Man, the Libbies are all in love, and I mean in love with what's going on in Indianapolis. Now, let me tell you what's going on in Indianapolis. Indianapolis, since the George Floyd riots, has been a shell of itself. It's a dangerous city with literally, I've seen this, I go downtown and I walk the city every day after this show. I have seen guys shooting needles. I've seen guys taking dumps in the middle of the street. I have seen boarded up windows to make it look like there are businesses on Washington Street and Meridian Street. I have seen a city that has raging murder rate. I've seen youth crime quadruple, or at least according to the people that know these things. So what have I seen? Crap. I've also seen the Starbucks right on Monument Circle with its window bashed in. I've seen Starbucks on Monument Circle with things that, well, frankly, aren't good, including armed robberies, and it's Starbucks' fault partially, because Starbucks will let everybody in. They're so woke, everybody gets to come in, peeing on the floor, smashing windows. I've seen all of this in my time. So Starbucks decided this, among with other businesses, they have decided that they are going to close certain stores, including the one on Monument Circle. Now, you got to understand Monument Circle in Indianapolis. It's the center of the whole state, for crying out loud. You come to Indy, everybody goes to Monument Circle. They always have something going. They'll close the streets. But the Starbucks there is deemed not safe enough. Now, I want you to think about that. Now, we've got one of those prosecutors, a guy named Mears, who lets everybody out. Everybody's out. And everybody goes and commits more crimes. So the little writer guy for the Indianapolis Star is all up in arms. Up in arms. He says this Starbucks did not close because of that. It's a trend of office building going from unoccupied to occupied. It has altered the retail scene. It is not because of danger. These guys won't admit it. So the smartest guy in the city, A man named Ryan Vaughn says, but why is there less foot traffic downtown? For sure, a new work-from-home attitude is contributing, but what are the other factors and to what degree? Based on my conversations with business owners, safety is a very big contributor to that challenge. To say anything otherwise is blind. And he's right. So this guy, James Briggs, who's the Metro reporter for the Indy Star, he's in pocket because he's a liberal, and the guy Joe Hogsett, the worst mayor in the history of the world, is a liberal, and they're all in pocket. This guy Briggs shows where there's 1, 2, 3, all these other Starbucks that are staying open downtown. And he says, I wonder if there's an alternative explanation for why one particular location is no longer necessary. Well, here's the deal. There is not, according to Ryan Vaughn. That's my closest Starbucks, and I won't go there, the one on Monument Circle. The Circle is in bad shape. The alley is deplorable, and it's been that way for more than a year. Those other locations that this guy Briggs are in hotels and across from the State House. Different worlds, though only blocks apart. I will tell you this. When you go to Indianapolis, there's an intersection, major intersection of Washington and Illinois. On the northeast side is the Conrad Hotel. On the northwest side is Tony's and the Embassy Suites. On the northeast side, nothing. Maybe a homeless guy right in the same area, right there, right on the corner. Maybe a homeless guy. On the other side, literally the other side of the street. Oh, multiple homeless people, very dangerous to walk by, always yelling and screaming, literally right across the street. Stock down to Indianapolis. No. Not to Starbucks. Starbucks is smart. Starbucks, though, needs to stop being so damn woke. And you know what they need to do? They need to say, hey, look, if you're coming in and around our store to cause problems, get the hell out. Ain't nobody going to argue with that. Nobody. And if you do, then you're a clown. There's nothing I can tell you. All right, stock up. Before yesterday, I would have said the Atlanta Falcons got the best of the deal, getting rid of, yet still paying, Matt Ryan, and bringing in Marcus Mariota. Hey, look, ladies and gentlemen, Marcus Mariota yesterday in a win over San Francisco went 13 of 14. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 144.6 passer rating. 144.6 passer rating. Now, again, we all think that Jimmy Garoppolo only wins games, well, because the defense of the 49ers is so great, and that may be true. But I got to tell you, Marcus Mariota laid waste to that 49ers defense. Marcus Mariota has the Atlanta Falcons 3-3. He accounted for 3 touchdowns, 2 passing, 1 rushing. I don't know what to tell you, but I will tell you this. Marcus Mariota is doing a Ryan Tannehill. Remember Tannehill came in and did the Mariota, got him benched, got a chance, Tannehill did, and took the job. Mariota ended up with the Raiders. Mariota ends up starting, and Mariota's done a heck of a job. It was 3 years ago, this week in the NFL season, that the Tennessee Titans benched Mariota. Mariota's been good. It was the top-rated NFL defense that Mariota did that with. Now, I don't know about you. I don't know. But if you got to do it against somebody to prove your worth, you might as well do it against the NFL's top-rated NFL defense. Hey, how about baseball underdogs? I talked about this a little bit earlier. I got to tell you, so all of a sudden, here comes the Dodgers, 111 wins. What did I tell you? Man, honest to God, how is this show not the Fox News or Fox Regular ought to have this show? And I tell you what's going to happen. I told you the Dodgers didn't have enough starting pitching. Now, I know, so they had enough starting pitching to go ahead and win 111 games. Yeah, well, whatever. I don't know. I just told you what I told you. Guys were banged up. Told Rob Dibble on my show, told you guys here, look, the Dodgers did what the Dodgers do. They're a good team. They usually make the playoffs. They usually make a run. Sometimes they win a World Series. Great franchise. One of the greatest franchises of all time. But I don't know what to tell you. 5 5-3, 2-1, 5-3. Timely hitting and pitching. That's all I got. I don't know. What do you want me to tell you? You got to pitch. And good for the Padres. Remember the Padres made those deals? Josh Hader was losing it. He was struggling. Yeah, I watched him blow everybody away. Woo! Juan Soto, I don't know, but I feel like Juan Soto, when he gets to your team, you're just better. That's what I feel like. I feel like you're just better. Like everybody gets more confident. And remember, Major League Baseball threw this guy, Fernando Tatis, down our throats. Oh, he's the next superstar. Baseball's fun. Because I act like an idiot on the field, Fernando Tatis, and I act like an idiot off the field. And I take the roids. Well, guess what? Fernando Tatis suspended 80 games. They haven't missed them. And here's what I like about the Padres. The Padres did this. They went and got guys in the middle of the season. It didn't go great for a while. They lost about 15 or 17. I don't think it's that many, but it's close. So they got knocked on their rear end. But guess what? They kept fighting. When you come out of difficulty, man, good things happen. They just do. How about the Braves? You like the Braves? I like the Braves. Before I leave the Padres, though, I got to talk about a guy. I do. I'm sorry. I got to talk about a guy who is a phenomenal baseball player. And nobody will be talking about him, including me. His name, ladies and gentlemen, is Jake Cronenworth. Jake Cronenworth is a Michigan guy that was friends with my son. When he came into Major League Baseball, my son said, "Dad, this dude is a stud. He's a freak." Now, I don't know what you think of Jake Cronenworth, but all I know is Jake Cronenworth went 2 for 4. Whoa. In the Dodgers series, 2 for 4, 1 for 4, 2 for 4, and 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. All I know is he had 5 RBIs in the last 3 games, can play any place, is a winning dude, makes your culture better. That's Jake Cronenworth. Don't at me about it, people. Jake Cronenworth is who you win with when you have a bunch of stars. You need a guy like that, and he is a stud. Let me talk a second about the Phillies. There was an inside the park home run that absolutely Ronald Acuna Jr. dogged it on, and Joe Simpson, longtime announcer for the Atlanta Braves, just ripped him. And I'm sure Joe Simpson has to apologize because, well, I don't know. I have no idea why Joe Simpson, I'm sure he doesn't, but man, God, everybody has to apologize about everything. If you're not going to hustle and a catcher gets an inside the park home run, I got 2 words for you. Oh, hell no. It's a play on Joe Biden. I got 2 more words for you. What the hell? I got 2 more words for you. Don't at me. What are you doing sitting there watching? What are you doing sitting there jogging? Ball goes into the corner. Bad bounce. Goes from kind of a weird angle straight towards right field. Acuna Jr. standing there. You know what Cronenworth does? He hustles. If you don't want to hustle, I got nothing for you. Good. Braves lose. Get rid of Acuna. Oh, man, you don't understand. That old school stuff don't work. Okay, that old school stuff don't work. You're right. And then, of course, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, tonight it's on. And nobody, you know what the best words in sports are? Game 7. Well, in this case, it's Game 5. 2 cities that I like. I love New York, mostly before this idiot got in there. And, of course, I love the Guardians. I do. The Guardians, because I live 2 hours from Cleveland, I learned to really like Cleveland. 92 wins, 99 wins for the Yankees. They go at it at 7:07 tonight. 7:07, baby. Does it even matter who the starting pitchers are? Civale against Talion. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is bullpen. I guess it matters if you give up a couple in the first, but just get through the first 2 innings. These guys are so soft. There's no Dave Stewart. There's no Dave Stieb. There's no Jack Morris where you're going to go the full time. So just get for the first couple. Try to pitch around Aaron Judge if you can. Maybe you pitch around Ramirez. Team that does the best job of that and get a clutch hit late and you're going to win the game. I don't know who's going to win. Be hard to bet against, I'll tell you this, be hard to bet against the Yankees. Be hard to bet against the Yankees at home, But there is a feeling, ladies and gentlemen, that the Guardians got a little something special. They put the ball in play. They play good defense. Don't at me. I'm still going to take the Yankees. I don't know what to tell you. That's what I'm telling you. So good for that. Baseball underdogs prevail. Oh, boy. He's pretty. He is pretty. Cliff Kingsbury is pretty. Cliff Kingsbury has a serious problem because Cliff Kingsbury has a child as a quarterback. Now, you all can say, hey, look. You all can say, hey, here's the deal. Well, Kyler Murray's a better player. Chris Kingsbury, stymie. No, children do not win in the NFL. They don't. They don't win in Major League Baseball. They don't. You got to be an adult. And when you have to put a clause in the contract, whether you backed off it or not, that says, hey, you got to study for 4 hours, you got a child leading you. And when a child is leading you as a coach, you got no shot, particularly when that child is a highly publicized guy. Watch those Heisman commercials. Who's always in them? Tebow, Mayfield, Barry Sanders, and Kyler Murray. He's a child. He's an entitled child. So next thing you know, well, let me see. Your team stinks. Your team's 2-4. They can't score. Their average margin of victory in losing is, 6 points, 5 points, whatever. It's not that bad, but you're still losing. Stop it. Kyler Murray is a child, and when you have children, you have no chance. So, guess what? I know they won last week, but, they've lost 2 in a row. They've played teams well. They can't listen to these point totals. This is an offensive genius. 21, 29, 12, 26, 17, and 9. Cliff Kingsbury, you got a serious problem, and now you go to New Orleans, and I'm not saying you're coaching for your job, but Cliff Kingsbury's an easy guy to fire. He is. Great show today. Thanks for everybody for hanging in here. We got a woke-a-dope, and he is our guy, El Presidente. Let's go with the woke-a-dope. Oh, the economy is strong as hell. Look, I'm all in on ice cream. I'm big and fat. Of course I eat ice cream. But I got to tell you, the economy is weak as hell. Trillions of dollars lost. The New York Post today put a picture up on its headlines that said the average American, ladies and gentlemen, the average American is our retirement accounts are down 25%. There's another study out that says the average American has lost $35,000 with these Biden economics. Now, I don't know about you. It's awesome. I'm sorry. 2.1 trillion in losses. And 25%, $34,000 per person. Now, I don't know about you, okay? I don't know. But I got to tell you, right now, you all can tell me about climate change, and I'll go, yeah, great, fix it. Y'all can tell me about a war in Iran, and I may be stupid enough to say, hey, look, why are we giving billions? But this guy's sitting there eating ice cream, sniffing patrons, telling us that the economy is strong as hell. Now, I got to tell you, aren't you tired of these folks? I am. You guys can't be. I am. I am so tired of every day, the lies, the sniff, and the stupidity. I don't know what to tell you, except for get these people out of office. Let's get some real people who care about us in office. I know that's a novel approach. I do. But I got to tell you, I just feel like, wouldn't be a bad move. Tonight, Chargers -4 against the Broncos. I'm going to take that to -3. I don't like -4. Somehow, some way, I feel like, and I don't know what it is, maybe he's telling the truth. Maybe Russell Wilson is telling us the truth and he's hurt, not just making excuses. I don't know. I honestly don't. But the one thing I do know is I haven't lost totally my love for Russell Wilson, but I'm not all that enthused about Russell Wilson anymore. I just think Russell Wilson, along with Lamar Jackson, were two of the 4 or 5 guys, including Brady and including Rodgers, that I wanted with the ball late in the game. Maybe I still do, but I got to tell you, Rodgers making my ass sag. He is. Man, keeps talking. He acts like he's the coach of the whole damn thing. And eventually, I don't care if you're the GOAT, people get tired of you. Hell, kids all across the country are telling their dads, Michael Jordan, isn't he the guy in the underwear commercials? Tom Brady, tired of him. He doesn't show for 11 days in camp. He doesn't show for walkthroughs, and he's going to yell? No, I'm tired of him. Lamar Jackson, stop going 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions with a 28 passer rating in the 4th quarter. And now, Russell Wilson, you guys are my 4. You guys, along with Mahomes, my 5, but you guys are my guys. I'm going to take Justin Herbert. Everybody's in love with Justin Herbert. We'll see. I'm not in love with that coach, Staley. Hey, Staley, do yourself a favor. Help your team win. Yes, I'm going to be in Nashville this weekend. Yes, I will be at, what's the name of that place where Dylan and Ryan and Tommy and everybody hangs, the Moonshine place. Probably be there Saturday afternoon. What? Old Smoky. I'll probably be there. May have to host a party so I can meet Dylan and Ryan and Davey and Clay and Chad and Jonathan and Paul. May have to host a bash, red carpet, velvet ropes. You know what I'm saying, bottle service. You got to be on the list to get in. We'll do it. We'll kick it old school. Only hot women can get in. If I host a party, the average age will be 62. And oh, by the way, last night, yeah, that's right, I was in bed by 8:30. I was doing homework. I had my little book out. I was doing homework. But I went to bed, did my homework, and then watched Game of Thrones or whatever the hell that show is called. That's right. All right, we got a monster week for you today. Thanks to everybody. Retweet the stuff, will you? You guys on the YouTube chat, thank you. Everybody that was following us on Twitter, you're the best. Join all of this, noon to 3. It'll be joyous noon to 3 at 107.5 The Fan. Hell, the Colts won. Hey, Dylan, thank you. Ryan, thank you. Aaron, thanks all of you. Have a wonderful, wonderful afternoon. See you.